In the last lecture, we broke our app by moving the components into the containers folder, because now we're going to load them as pages through routing, and that really turns them into containers because they're no longer included by some other component. Yes, kind of, through routing, but they really are now on the root level, being exchanged for previously root level components. So with that, let's work on the posts component, which is the one component we're now missing. I'm going to grab the section here, class name posts, and put it into my posts component, which I'll create with the class keyword, class posts extends component. Now therefore we need to import both React and component from React. And now here we need a render method where in the end we simply return some JSX, that section I just copied. Now posts, of course, doesn't exist here because we created that dynamically in the block component. So let's fetch all that code here where we create posts, and let's move that into the render method now. This, on the other hand, now depends on the state of this component. So we should manage the state for the posts in the posts component. Makes sense, I guess. So let's quickly take the state here from the block component. Let's cut it from there and move it to the posts component. There we now have our posts array, an error, and the selected post ID. Now I am going to remove that part of the state, and here for clicking the post selected handler where we pass the post ID, I will also import that from my block component. There I'll grab the post selected handler and also add this to my posts class in the newly created posts component. And finally, from the block component, I am going to fetch the component did mount code here so that I only have render in here in the block component, and put that component did mount method also back into my posts component so that we are mounting here. Now for the error, I'm no longer handling that here to keep it a bit simpler, so I'm just logging it. We shouldn't face any errors anyways. And with that, we now got the posts component created, fetching its own posts and rendering them to the screen. Now here we also now need to import Axios in the posts component. So Axios, and keep in mind here we were using our own instance, so let's point to that instance. So from, and now we have to move up all the way to the top so that we can import from that Axios file. And now we have an application which should work again if we, for the second, import our newly created posts component in the block component. So let me quickly do that. Let's navigate to the posts subfolder with the posts.js file, and let's include post here. So include posts like this. And in the posts file, we need to import the post component, of course, because we're rendering it to the screen. So make sure to add the import to posts to this newly created posts component. So import post from, and now we need to go up. Then we need to go up even more and more into the components folder, into the post folder, to the post.js file so that we can use that. And finally, we need to import some CSS here too. And of course also export our posts component. So let's add a default export to the posts.js file where we export this posts class. Now for the CSS again, here in the block CSS, we have that posts class. Remove it from there, from the block file, we don't need it there, and put it into a to be created posts.css file, which we now import in the posts component. So there I'll import simply /post.css. Keep in mind here we're not using CSS modules, hence the different syntax. With all that changed, if we go back to the app, we see just the posts. And if that was too fast, obviously feel free to download this. It was just some restructuring, turning our components into containers and adding the new posts container. Now we got different components, containers, which we can use as pages in our app because we want to load either all posts or a single post or the new post page, now we need routing to load only one of them.